what is a soulmate? And is it when you have been with someone for a long time?
Soulmate.
What do you think about that term soulmate?
I want to know.
Pre-show, I told you a little about what I thought.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to that, though.
All right. I want to know how many of you guys are watching chick flicks. All right. Only one guy, Alex. All right.
Watching the rom-coms?
All right. So this soulmate, what's the definition of a soulmate? Because I don't find soulmate in the Bible. I don't find it in the Bible. But what I was able to find was definitions on Google of what soulmate is. And what soulmate is it could be a connection that's sexual. It could be a connection that's verbal. It could be a connection that's spiritual of any type. It could be a connection of feeling, but it's just this connection that can come in multiple different ways. And so I wanted to define that. And some of us can be in this way of thinking that God has created someone specifically for us. Like he has created this perfect woman that would perfectly blend with us. And we're going to be so magical together. And it's going to be so beautiful. I don't care who you are. I know y'all believe in love stories. But we think that God has this perfect woman for us. But if we look in the Bible and we reference a couple people in there, including Paul, there were some people that wasn't intended for. And it could lead us astray when we look for that direction, or we have this false notion of what we believe love to be, or what we believe for this soulmate.
Yeah. You know, I think soulmate, it reminds me a little bit of like the word girlfriend. Like, I remember just giving my life to Christ and praying, and I was like, hold up. Ain't no girlfriend in this Bible. Who been sending me all these girls? I was like, I read the Bible, it talks about a wife, talks about a husband, talks about sons, talks about daughters. You know, God is specific about what he's called the next person that we want to attach ourselves to be. So you need to always come through the filter of seeing them as your wife, and I think that evolves into becoming your soulmate at the end of your life journey. You can look back and say, man, that was my soulmate. Yeah. But I think we try to put the horse before the cart sometimes, or the cart before the horse, however you say that. And we want to get the soulmate first, and we don't want to walk through the sacrifice that leads up into us saying at the end of life, man, that was my soulmate. Yeah. You know, I suffered with him, I was challenged with him, but I loved them. We walked through some things, and I would say, man, that's where sometimes we get tripped up by the words of the world and the wisdom of the world. Because when I read the scripture, it didn't say whoever finds a soulmate finds a good thing. It says whoever finds a wife finds a good thing, and attached to that, then there's a level of favor that God gives to you. All right? So that's what I would say, man. I mean, it's great to have soulmate in conversations, but I wouldn't be out there trying to find a soulmate, because I think you might be in circles. You might be chasing your tail.
Yeah. And
just go look for a wife and go pray for a wife. And then after that, testify about, man, that was my soulmate. God blessed me with a soulmate.
Yeah, you know, and I think we have to have a perception of what that wife looks like. Yeah. Right? There's a certain way that we need to be looking at that potential woman that God has placed in us. And that's exactly the word, woman. If you got Genesis chapter 2, verse 23, it says, at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. And that was our perception of Eve. That was Adam's perception of Eve. She was woman. And even when it says, they talk about it later on in the scripture about husband and wife, like that's how he saw her, as a woman. And then it changed. It changed after they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And what changed was she became Eve. And that was the mother of earth. So she went from being your woman, that woman that's flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, to just being the baby mama. Now, if we can be honest about the woman that we've had in our lives, how many did we look at with that honest desire of flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone? This is a woman I could spend the rest of my life with. Or did we just look at her as another potential baby mama or someone that we could sleep with? And so that's something that, you have to think about in that form. But, something else that stood out from the soulmate thing was if I continuously see this person, if they're continuously they're being put in my path, man, does that mean they're right for me?
Oh, no.
True.
No.
Right? And I think a lot of people will legitimize that. But I could say the same thing. Like, listen, on my way to Ybor every day, I pass a strip club. Is that God's way of telling me, hey, maybe you should go to the strip club?
I don't know, Pastor Sam.
It's not.